welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April.
No, I forgot my name.
Oh, so did I.
I'm April Atmansky, and I'm here today with
Justin Scary DeClue.
I didn't do it.
I'm so
I didn't
desperate.
do it.
I'm Colin Cabal Cunningham.
Oh, wow. On topic this
For
week.
once, I remembered.
Yeah, I got nothing. How about April Hellraiser Atmansky?
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's
could be-
good. I'm Justin Books of Blood DeClue.
Very good. So today we're talking about.
Very good. Very good, Justin.
Says the teacher.
So up in Canada, we can't watch the new Hellraiser movie. It's not available in any way, shape, or form, and there's no word on when it will ever become available. And I'm really angry about that. So
The man doesn't want us to see Rob Zombie's Monsters, and he doesn't want us
what
to
the
see
hell?
Hellraiser.
I know. So and
Canadians
this
can't handle their horror.
It's not
That's
just
what they're
Canada.
trying
I
to say.
think it's all over the world. Like Hellraiser, Hulu Hellraiser is like a U.S. exclusive until further notice. Like I wanted to see that movie.
I mean, come on. It's got to be in October. Like, when the hell else would
There's
they release
no
it?
word anywhere of when it's coming to us.
That's insane.
How does that happen? Like,
know.
how do the people in charge are like, hey, what about Canada and the rest of the world? They're like, so that's somebody else's problem. It's like, no, they want to see it.
ridiculous. I'll
Yeah.
pay. I saw people online being like, I was going to get a Disney Plus subscription just for this.
Weird.
So we couldn't watch that. So instead, we decided to watch the next best thing.
to reach back into the Clive Barker oeuvre.
That's right. Clive
Rawhead
Barker's
Rex.
Nightbreed. Well,
Again.
previous episode, Rawhead Rex.
Yeah.
Go back and check that out.
We're watching Nightbreed from 1990, also directed by Clive Barker.
Written and directed, I assume?
Yep. Written for the screen and directed by Clive Barker.
Or the Scream.
His penultimate film, because people forget, he also directed Lord of Illusions.
That's right. I saw Lord of Illusions in the theater.
Oh, I'd never even heard of that.
That was what's his nuts from
Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap.
Scott Bakula?
And
Yeah.
Kevin J. O'Connor, the guy that's in all the Stephen Sommers movies.
Yeah, possibly.
Benny and the Mummy.
Oh, yeah,
he's
yeah.
the magician in the movie.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about it really, except Scott
But
Bakula's
Clive
like-
Barker was fucked by Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to make movies anymore. If you want to hear the angriest commentary ever, listen to the commentary Clive Barker does with Yui Kitamura on Midnight Meat Train.
Oh, really?
He is pissed. Oh, he's so angry.
Yeah, he's we watched Midnight Meat Train and then we watched some of the behind the scenes stuff, and he's an artist now, so he's there smoking his cigar, showing his paintings and stuff. But he kind of talks like this now because
Yeah, throat cancer.
it was like nodules he had removed from his throat. So
But he's a director, right? He
Oh, yeah.
directed the first
Yeah.
Hellraiser.
writer, director.
Did he direct
Author.
Hellraiser too?
Yep. Oh, no, he did not direct Hellraiser 2. That was an executive that worked at the company that made Hellraiser. I think he moved from Hellraiser right onto Nightbreed.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Hellraiser 2, great movie, and I obviously love the first one. So this is definitely in that kind of world.
Definitely, yeah. And this is a movie that I remember seeing when it first came out. I remember my friend and I rented it on VHS back in the day, probably 1991. It was marketed as something completely different. It was marketed
Yeah.
as like a kind of slasher horror film. And I remember us being very, very bored when we watched it.
Yeah.
If you look at the original poster, it's
Yeah.
just a pair of eyes, and the tagline is, Laurie thought she knew everything about her boyfriend. Laurie was wrong.
Yeah,
Kind of
so vague.
huh?
It's very strange. So I think I was reading the sort of trivia about it, and the studio didn't know what to do with it at all. So they just marketed it as like a slasher film, which is totally not what
And
it is at all.
They clearly slashed the film. So you obviously would have seen the theatrical version.
And I don't remember much about it other than we were very bored and we were mostly just reading magazines while we were watching
Yeah.
it. So,
I mean, this movie.
I had a completely different reaction to the viewing this time. This is the director's cut. I couldn't find the theatrical anywhere. So I think it's only the director's cut that's available.
Well, that's good because it sounds like the theatrical version sucked.
Yeah. So, when I'm reacting differently this time to the movie, I don't know whether that's because I'm in a different mindset or, if the original just was that much worse or, I don't know.
Well, we had read that they shot a bunch of new footage and took like a ton of footage out of the original, and it must have been like an hour and a half, and this one is closer to 2 hours, right?
Yeah, this is 2 hours. They didn't shoot new footage.
Yeah, the footage that was shot, like demanded by the studio, is actually in the film, even in the director's cut. And it's like murders that the David Cronenberg commits in the film.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Okay.
Because they were like, we need to like beef this up. We need a little bit more horror stuff, you know, up front or at least throughout the film. And that's why he went back and shot it. I like Nightbreed. I think it still has a lot of issues, even in its director's cut.
I think so. Yeah.
I'd say so too. I halfway through the movie, I was like, this is a great movie. Why would anyone not like this movie? And then it kind of just gets really fucked up. And then it gets really crazy to the point where I'm like, okay, I can see how this would just be way too confusing for your average viewer. And it just kind of starts piling things on top of each other until it kind of becomes a big mess. But I still had fun. It was still a good experience.
Yeah. And like I will say, like the last 30 minutes or so, 35 minutes is just insanity. Like it's crazy. There's so much chaos and like destruction.
Yeah, I can't imagine this coming out in a theater and being successful or popular at all.
I don't know.
If they had just sold it as a monster movie, and I mean, I watched the first theatrical trailer, and it did sell the movie for what it was, and the original theatrical poster was Craig Schaefer standing around with his monster buddies like he was in a band.
Well, that's what the movie's about. So.
Yeah. Or was that the VHS cover?
It might have been.
Because
I've seen
that's the iconic one, the one that's like Nightbreed.
Yeah.
And he's like wearing his leather jacket, and they're all like standing around him and like laying down by his knees.
Yeah, now like playing the guitar and like the drums and
Yeah.
stuff.
There's like the big dickhead guy, and you know the guy with like snakes around his body.
No, he looks like Mac tonight, but you know,
That's exactly who he looks like back tonight.
he has like a big moon face. It's really funny.
So I don't know if you want to start getting into the plot, but like overall, this movie is about like the Nightbreed, which are these like monstrous people who live in a
Beneath the
graveyard
cemetery.
below a cemetery.
Yeah, they're kind
But
of.
is it man who's the real monster?
Yeah, like I didn't like at the beginning of the movie, kind of the beginning-ish, where that woman is kind of explaining it. She's like, they hunt us, and we were like the subversive race. And I'm like, okay, this kind of has a little message. And then it goes so far with it at the end that you're like, it's like kind of banging you over the head with its social commentary.
and
but
flamethrowing you.
I
and-
do like that, like, you start off being scared of these monsters, and then not too long after that, you're rooting for them and you're on their side. But my issue with this is there's absolutely no rhyme or reason why they look the way they look, and some have powers and some they're just it's
Does
anything.
that really bother you?
Well, because it's like some of them just look like regular people and some of them look monstrous, and there's no logic to why anyone looks like anything.
Well, why does a werewolf look like a werewolf
Yeah,
when
I
he's
mean-
bitten
Because
by
it
a
got
wolf?
bitten by a wolf.
I don't know, but you know,
That doesn't really bother me. I mean,
Yeah.
I love these monsters. I made a list when they all show up.
Oh, they're
I'm like, which is
great.
your favorite? The one that's a pile of guts, or the one that's
there's the one with just like a fat guy with like a,
yeah, it's just a big guy. He's like, "Arr!"
and like there's one that's just like a fat guy with like a head sticking out of his belly.
There's a woman who just missing the lower half of her face that she holds a fan in front
Yeah,
of. It's like
that
she's
was
really only got this one move.
Well, I thought that, okay, so like the one guy who I kind of thought looked a little bit like Neil Young in the movie, he meets him in the hospital and then he pulls the skin off of his head. So then when he becomes a Nightbreed, that's what he looks like. He has no skin on his head. So I was like, okay, so all these people look crazy. Is that how they, maimed themselves into kind of
No.
No,
Because some
no.
people literally just look like humans.
I don't.
Okay, here's the way you can
All right.
approach it, April. I'm sure it's done in detail in Clive Barker's original book,
Probably
Cabal.
need to read the book.
Maybe people have this gene when they're born, and when they join the Nightbreed, maybe from mixing together all the different Nightbreeds, that's when you get like the monstrous versions of them,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
and
the
it's
guy-
infected that
okay.
way.
Let's go right back to the beginning. We're kind of like covering everything. So, we're jumping ahead in the timeline and explaining stuff that the listener, they're not aware of this stuff.
I'm just getting him ready.
yeah.
So we're introduced to Craig Schaefer, a man who looks like the zombie that's about to get its head cut off by helicopter blades because his head's like a little too high.
What, just on his
Because
normal
he's
head?
got so much forehead.
Yeah, he's,
like I'm thinking of like Dawn of the Dead. There's like the zombie that has like the Frankenstein head, and you're like, oh, he's gonna get it cut off by the helicopter blade
Yeah.
later on.
I was getting the vibe that he's kind of like an off-brand, like Jason Patrick. from the Lost Boys. Like he has that same kind of vibe, but
Also looks like James from Twin Peaks.
He's kind of like the Chinese bootleg action figure of James Patrick, where you're like, he kind of looks like him, I guess.
He's handsome enough.
Yeah, it's like the mold.
He just left in the mold for a little too long.
Something melted and like the eyes became a little too wide or something like that.
So anyway, he's our main character, and he starts off having a dream about the Nightbreed people running through the cemetery, and he doesn't know what to think of it. He's just horribly disturbed.
Yeah, he keeps. It's like an insanely cut dream. It's just like these creatures like running from something towards this like cemetery. By the way,
and all of this is scored by like
I was just
Danny
gonna say,
Elfman, just dropping it on the Danny Elfman, soundtrack that he has in his house.
This
and
is
it's like,
yeah.
It's the most
like,
Danny
there's some
Elfman
songs
thing.
that sound exactly like Nightmare Before Christmas songs.
Yeah, I was going to say Army of Darkness. Like there are a
And
lot of cues.
Beetlejuice too.
Yeah, it's like 200% Danny Elfman, and it is like going. It is at 11 through practically every scene in the movie. It's amazing. But whatever. I mean, it gets you in the vibe of things. You can almost
That's fine. If you want Danny Elfman music, that's what we're going to get.
Sure.
I mean, you can't always get the excellent score of Real Steel, where Danny Elfman outdoes himself.
But I think it sets the tone for the movie, and I think coming back at it now and looking at it, you're like, okay, this is I get it. You can see like Tim Burton directing this movie or something.
It also gives it this very early 90s feel, which is fine because that's the flavor of when this was made.
Yeah, it's got the kind of like gothic circus vibe or something like that. But yeah, Craig Schaefer, he can't sleep, but his girlfriend there is talking about, you got to go see your therapist again, Dr. Decker.
Literally the creepiest man to ever appear on screen, played by David Cronenberg.
I was shocked. I remember him as the kind of antagonist of this film. I had forgotten how much screen time he has in this movie.
I mean, within 30 seconds, Clive Barker can't even keep up the illusion that like he's anything but a serial killer.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, he's a serial killer.
Yeah, you know
guys
right off
you
the
heard
bat.
him talk.
Is this like the biggest role he's ever had in a movie?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had kind of, solid roles in other films, but he's the co-lead in this film. He almost has as much screen time as Craig Schaefer.
I would say even more because Craig Schaefer, rewatching this, he really
kind of disappears in the back
for
half.
a while, yeah.
Don't forget Cronenberg was in Jason X.
Very briefly. He gets killed in the opening.
Yeah.
How can we forget?
But yeah, Cronenberg apparently
how could we forget?
Yeah, a good actor. He kind of reminds me of like an 80s yuppie a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But very creepy.
Like
as
kind
a
of business
serial
exec.
killer.
Just the way he speaks is very just like nonchalant and very just he has this creepy way of speaking. He's great. He's really good in this movie.
So during the beginning of this movie, I was answering some work emails, so I couldn't pay attention 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is our Boone is having nightmares that he's murdering people, right? And then
he's having nightmares of the Nightbreed.
Okay, but then
that's what
then Cronenberg convinces him that he's murdered people, and he shows him pictures.
Yeah, so Cronenberg calls him into his office, and he's like, "Oh, you haven't been here in a while. I need to see you." And he says, the police have been coming to me asking me if any of my patients could have done these horrific murders that have been happening, which we've just seen. We've just seen this like creepy character show up at a family's house and slaughter the family. But he's wearing this like creepy mask.
I
It's like
adore this mask. I think
so.
it looks
This
great.
mask, I was looking at the mouse of the zipper, and I was just thinking, in the logic of the movie, was Cronenberg like, I fucked up this zipper. It was supposed to be in the middle. It's like off to the right side.
No, that's why it looks so creepy.
No, he's like, just
I
leave
know it is, but like in the logic of the movie, I imagine him like, shit, am I gonna do this again?
No.
This is my third mask. This is expensive material. And I imagine him like zipping it up too and like eating a sandwich. He's like, nom, nom.
And then like the zip breaks and he has to take it back. He has to take it to like,
oh my, it's on my tongue.
oh, I got the Franken beans in there. Yeah, and then he takes the zipper to like a tailor, and they're like, yeah, it's gonna be like $50. And he's like, fuck.
This isn't blood. It's wine. He's like, all right.
I gotta say, I think this mask is better than the Jason mask. It's better than the Halloween mask. it's so simple, but it kind of looks like skin, but not. Maybe it was suggested that it was like made of skin. It has that kind of like leather tanned look to it. It's got like button eyes, right?
I can hear Clive Barker's voice describing this right now. It's like, he had button eyes. And
Yeah, I think it looks great. I don't know if it's my favorite thing in the
For
movie.
some
but-
reason, the modern day Clive Barker is described.
yeah, it looks fantastic and it's super creepy.
yeah, I always like thought that this character kind of felt like he was from a different movie or should have had his own movie. Like when you kind of weave it in, it becomes a little much by the end.
Well,
Well, I think the issue with the structure of the film
Yeah.
is that the monsters actually can't do anything until the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because, like, built into their law is, like, you can't harm other humans or you can't kill, et cetera, et cetera.
They just sort of have to stay hidden out of sight.
You could have made it like a psycho monster who escaped and was, like, killing people instead of necessarily, like, a serial killer doing it.
Yeah, so it's sort of explained at the end of the movie that Cronenberg is like the Nightbreed hunter.
so he's killing potential night breeds.
Yeah, so I think of them as the X-Men, and I was telling April at the end of the I'm like, yeah, this is like the worst X-Men movie because they're not doing anything; they're just standing around.
They don't really have powers until that end.
Yeah, so it's
scene,
implied
yeah.
that he's been murdering all these families. I guess we're going to give birth to a Nightbreed or a potential Nightbreed or
It's
something like that.
racism, it's eugenics, it's
Yeah, there you go.
It's anti-LGBT. All
Yeah.
of this stuff is all weaved into this movie by master
Dreamweaver, if you will.
Yeah, we're in his
Clive Barker?
We're in his
Clive Barker.
Weave World. Wasn't that a book that he wrote?
Yeah, it was.
World was one of his books. So I should point out before I forget that you guys know Danny Elfman's fucking ripped now. Like,
Really?
He's like
No.
all veiny and like look up Danny Elfman and like a photo of him. He's always like playing his concerts without a shirt on.
What? Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's creepy.
Just send us a picture.
He looks like Carrot Top. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Oh no!
That's insane.
wow. He could be a Nightbreed. Maybe he was.
Maybe he was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he finally transformed into
Yeah.
his night.
He's just a
form.
ripped guy that doesn't do anything. Ugh, he just plays circus
I mean-
music.
That's an issue I have with this movie. Is I wish the monsters look cooler. Like maybe that's Clive Barker would be like, oh, that's the point. They're it's supposed to look like monsters, not Frankensteins or werewolves. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, but
I don't know. Some of them are pretty. Oh my god.
Okay,
Is
this
that
picture
him?
of Danny Elfman. He looks like
Oh
Carrot
my
Top.
God, he does look like
He's got
Carrot
the red
Top.
hair and everything, and he's covered in tattoos.
Oh, that is bizarre.
He's got like the Rock tattoos.
Oh, that's kind of unsettling.
Yeah, he looked.
Nightbreed
He
tattoos.
looks like a Nightbreed. Case
Yeah.
closed, people.
When you're like
he is now a Nightbreed.
When you're like 65 years old, you should not look like that.
He's living his best life.
Somebody's best life.
But yeah, sorry. So
Oh yeah, so basically Cronenberg showing him all the murder pictures from the scenes and convinces Craig Schaefer that he's the one that's actually committing them, and he's like, "Oh, take these pills, they'll help you, lithium."
when really Cronenberg committed those.
Yeah,
murders,
Cronenberg's been committing the murders.
My question is, why does Boone think he did this? Because because like he's convinced him. Like I
guess he's
seems to
been
be-
having these dreams, and maybe
Yeah.
he convinced them that he's been doing them in his sleep or something. So
Yeah.
he drugs them with like LSD. We find out later.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, it's like a hallucinogen.
Yeah, and Boone goes to the concert of his significant other, Lori, and she's singing Johnny Get Angry for the 1962 hit, and he's like hallucinating. He's like, no.
She's clearly not singing that, but great performance nonetheless.
She sings the entire song, by the way.
Yeah, another long
from
performance.
beginning to end. We got to say this movie takes place in Calgary, Alberta.
Oh,
It does. Oh, Edmonton. Is it Alberta?
It's
'Cause
Calgary.
I know they mentioned Edmonton at one
they do.
point.
They
yeah.
say someone came from Edmonton.
Yeah,
or something,
no, it
because-
takes place in Calgary. I looked it up. It's supposed to take place in Calgary.
Wait, is Calgary and Edmonton? They're both in Alberta, right?
Calgary, Alberta, Edmonton, Alberta.
Yeah. So maybe they're close by.
possible.
sorry, people from that area.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
very far away from it.
Which is interesting. So it was shot half in London and half in Calgary, and you can kind of tell when, like in this murder scene when Cronenberg murders the family, you can tell they are British.
Yeah, they're
trying
kind
to
of
speak.
hiding their British accents. And also, at one point, one of the cars has the steering wheel on the other side.
Oh yeah,
It was the Nightbreed car,
Yeah.
so maybe that's your explanation.
So you thought it was like a free car? They're like, we drive on the other side.
Whoa!
Yeah, we're on the other side of society, so we drive on the other
Hop
side. of the
in. I'm
road.
gonna take you for a ride in Dragula.
Yeah,
Like those freaks who have a queen. I mean, had a queen. Rest in power.
yeah. But yeah, there's a neat scene where Boone is like hallucinating and he like sees himself like making out with his girlfriend, and it's like they use this like weird like double effect.
Yeah, and he's like burning his passport and stuff.
Is that what he was doing?
Yeah, he had a fire going in the apartment or something, and he's
He's
throwing
all
his
drugged-
passport
he's
in
all
there,
drugged up.
his Canadian passport. The audience at when he
Oh, the audience is so funny at the concert.
holy shit,
Like,
they are so Canadian looking. It's not
Yeah.
funny.
and they're all like clapping above their head too. They're like, yeah, of like this person who's singing like a cover song.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like the type of audience that would never go see this band ever.
No.
But yeah, they just all look like hillbilly rednecks.
Poser core.
Yeah, it's a lot of like denim, a lot of
Plaid.
plaid.
So much plaid in this movie.
Yeah.
But what can I say? That's what we wear here in Canada.
Sure.
That is not true.
Especially in the 90s. That's not true. I mean, I had I've had many plaid shirts.
I don't own one plaid shirt.
I don't anymore,
Here's the
but I
deal.
used to.
Well, for
Yeah, you made a big fire and you were throwing it off.
Yeah,
maybe in
exactly.
Calgary, Calgary is like an oil town.
Stampede's always going on, right?
Yeah,
That's what I know about Calgary.
Alberta is kind of like the Texas of Canada. It's
I was
like
just going to say that. No, I don't
lot
want
of
to.
Spider-Man rides a bull.
I don't want to insult anyone from Texas or Alberta.
You're gonna get both of
But-
them in one fell swoop.
Yeah, it's very right-leaning, and that will come into play later in the movie.
Oh, it's very right-leaning. Hey, let's look who the premier of Ontario is.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're one to talk over here.
Look in the mirror. We're all night breeds as well.
Yeah, but the way this movie portrays Calgary is like
Yeehaw!
it is worse than Texas could ever be. These are
Yeah.
just like the most redneck gun-toting.
Yeah, the guys are like at the end are like spitting beer in the
It
air,
is
like
like-
firing shotguns.
It's like redneck Mad Max. That's what it changes into at the end, which we'll get to that. Holy God. But yeah, he takes off.
But instead,
We end up in
he
a
takes
hospital.
off and gets hit by a truck.
Yeah, and then ends up in the hospital. We meet Hugh Ross. The actor's name is, he's playing Narcisse.
So I watched a documentary about this
Mm-hmm.
film, and of course, the guy who plays Hugh Ross and looks like Neil Young, he's a very polite British man, and that's how he
he's,
speaks.
he's a Scottish actor.
Oh.
He was in Trainspotting. I don't remember him from that, but he's really good in this film.
He starts off kind of like, what's this guy's deal? I thought I was very surprised to find out he's in the whole movie because you think he's just a character, some loony he meets in the hospital, but then he ends up being like the best friend, kind of.
Yeah, he's like almost like the comic relief, but you
Yeah.
get a sense at any point, you're like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I don't know.
He's both.
You get and he's like with his girlfriend later, and you're kind of like worried, like, oh, is he gonna do anything to her?
Yeah.
So I kind of like that character. He's really hamming it up, but I like him. Like I think he does a good job.
Yeah, and he
Very
seems
sweaty.
he seems to know like about the Nightbreed, and Boone is like, you know where what's the name of the place?
Midian.
Meridian.
Midian.
Do you know where Midian is? And he's like, yes, it's here, but he somehow gets it in his head that he has to pull his skin off.
Well, he
first.
says to Boone that we've all got faces underneath. Our real face is underneath. So he like has these little thumb blades, and he cuts his face off and pulls his hair off.
Yeah, but the funny thing is like when he was a human, a natural,
Mm-hmm.
he was like insane. But as soon as he became a Nightbreed, he's like normal now.
I don't think he's normal. He's insane through the entire movie.
Okay.
He's always cracking jokes,
Yeah, man.
making wise.
He's always like chomping gum.
Yeah.
So just as like Cronenberg shows up, and I guess he sees Craig Sheffer escape. I'm just thinking now, Cronenberg shows up and he's like, they've got bandaged, Narcisse is kind of bandaged up in the hospital bed. And then he's like, I need a few minutes with him. Cause like, I don't know, I don't know if he was a client of his or something, or patient.
Oh,
Sorry.
I think he was like, I deal with people like this all the
Yeah.
time. I know how to talk.
And he goes,
to them.
leave me alone with him. I need some privacy. And he's got his little suitcase. And he reminded me of the Scarecrow in Batman Begins.
Yeah,
where
an
he's-
evil therapist.
He's got his mask. That looks kind of similar.
You're right. it's
Oh no, you cracked it. They Christopher Nolan, huge Nightbreed fan.
He's like a Barker head.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
he
maybe
loves
that was
it.
in the comic.
Hey, they're both British.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I guess Craig Sheffer finds Midian. Interesting matte paintings, a lot of matte paintings in this movie.
Do you know that Ralph McQuarrie did most of them?
No
Or he
shit.
did like the outlines of them. Yeah, there's a little featurette on the Blu-ray, and you see like the matte painting of like the cemetery, and the big like thing on the wall is a McQuarrie thing that he designed.
No shit. Oh, that's cool. But yeah, we see it a lot. It's like this cool like circular cemetery in the middle of this like kind of field and stuff, and it looks really good.
Yeah.
But even like a lot of the like interior shots of the cemetery, like just of people walking around outside up top. Every shot is like a matte painting, pretty much.
Well, it's
pretty
a
cool.
set, right?
Well, like little,
But then with matte paintings in the background.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely when they step into the cemetery, it's like, we're in London now, because they're on a set, probably in Pine Woods, I assume.
I would assume as
I
well.
believe so. Yeah.
And yeah, so Boone steps in. He meets, I don't remember the monster's name, old red hair.
The guy who has
Like-
kind of like alien dreads, kind of.
Yeah.
Peloquin, his name is.
Peliquin. That guy, okay, another thing about this movie is I was like, all of these people are good. Who are all these actors? Nobody is anybody. Like no one is anything I've seen in anything.
I'm sure they've been.
But
yeah.
he was so
They're
good.
all on the British stage, April.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd recognize any of them if you saw them
Maybe
without
not,
their makeup?
Maybe not.
Do you think the Mac
They all look
Tonight
like
guy?
they all look like British guys. Like that, you look at them, you're like, oh yes, of course. Peliquin, the director of Johnny English Reborn.
Anyway, my point is this guy's good, and he was scary.
Peliquin's good,
and
yeah.
He's like very intimidating.
He's very intimidating. And then his buddy, Mac Tonight, who's the big moon head.
People might not know what Mac Tonight is.
Yeah, me and April, we actually didn't live through that period. This is
okay.
Colin's time.
Yeah,
I've
this
seen the
is-
commercial
it
though.
was-
Doug
yeah,
Bradley.
the McDonald's commercial, Doug Jones wearing the.
Oh, Doug Jones.
Doug
It'd
Bradley.
be great if it was Doug Bradley.
Doug Bradley is in this movie, though.
Look it up.
He
It's a
is.
McDonald's commercial of a guy with a big moon head.
Yeah, who it's
Scary.
yeah, and if you I think somebody posted a picture of the mask without
Yeah,
the
without
sunglasses.
eyes. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Without the sunglasses, and it is horrifying. Look it
He
up.
looks like a nightmare. Like it's just awful. And they gave him eyes too. Like they could have been just like blank pits, but instead it's like he looks like a Nightbreed.
Yeah, he
Essentially, you
does.
know that's where it came from.
I'm kind of shocked. Yeah, maybe he got booted out of the Nightbreed. And it's like, yeah, we've
Yeah, he was too evil.
no, or we've already got like one moonhead. Oh
We can't
God!
have more than one.
All right,
I'm just looking at the picture of Mac
We are
Tonight.
now looking at the picture of Mac
Oh,
Tonight
God.
without. Oh dear God.
Yeah, he's a Nightbreed.
Yeah.
The only thing scarier is that like disintegrated Ninja Turtle head. You've seen that one, right?
I have
I
seen
think
that
so.
one. Yeah.
Where it's like the teeth are all revealed. It's like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Just when like the foam all starts to rot and stuff.
I think that you posted that to Twitter not too long ago. Justin.
Yeah. the only thing scarier than that is the porn version of the Ninja Turtles. Don't look it up. Don't look it up. It's too late. We're a Halloween spook.
Oh God. So yeah, Craig Sheffer, he's bitten by Peliquin. He escapes. He runs out, and all the cops are there with Cronenberg. And I kind of love this moment. Cronenberg comes up, and he's like, I need to talk to him. And he goes up.
Boone is like, you believe me, right? And he's like, yes, I believe you.
He's got a gun, and then he jumps out of the way, and
And they just unload
they
on him.
fucking light him up so bad. It's like, yeah, the cops have machine guns and everything. They're just shooting the shit out of him.
That's kind of what I like about this movie is that there's a heightened level of reality. Like they probably wouldn't have shot him with that many guns, but it was funny. And also,
I don't know, April. Look up at people that are shot unarmed by the police. They get shot
yeah,
like
but
40
this
times.
guy was white.
Hey, this is
so-
Calgary.
Yeah, you're right. You got me.
It's Calgary,
It's
also.
If this
yeah,
guy wasn't
no
white, then
rules in
yes.
Calgary.
Yeah. So there's another cop we forgot to mention. I can't remember his name, but
I forget the actor's name, but he plays Captain Panaka.
he was in The
Phantom
He was
Menace.
in Phantom Menace.
He was like Natalie Portman's kind of head captain or
Yeah,
whatever.
and he had like a big square hat on. And he's kind of like the head cop investigating this. So he goes up to Boone, is like, I don't see a gun. Cronenberg's like, I saw him reaching into his jacket. Case closed. You know, it cuts to
Yep,
him in the morgue.
That's about right.
Yeah. So he's in the morgue, and the guys are working on him, and then he starts to like breathe or move.
Yeah, poor Laurie
Whoa.
first has to like identify his body
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, but I guess there's like some magic that's around the bite wound.
Yep. And it like flashes with a cheesy effect, but it looks good.
Yeah, and he kind of like heals himself. But
Yeah.
so I don't know the rules in this movie, so I guess if you're bitten by a Nightbreed, you become a
Or maybe only some Nightbreeds can bite you and you can get infected.
I think
guess.
you also have to be pre-genetically determined to be a Nightbreed because there's a eugenics quality to it, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what Cronenberg was doing.
because Narcisse and Craig Sheffer's character are both drawn to Meridian. Like they probably
Yeah.
have
Yes.
these dreams all the time.
Because they are secret Nightbreeds.
Right. Okay.
So maybe the idea would be that, like, even if you died normally, would you
Turn into
become
one.
a Nightbreed? But then at the end, like, it's made clear that, like,
The bite.
Lori needs to be bitten
Yeah,
to be turned into a
kinda,
Nightbreed.
So again, the rules aren't really clear. So it's kind of like vampire-y, but it's also like said that like Boone is kind of like a Nightbreed Jesus.
He prophesized.
Kind of like Moses, actually, because he has to like lead his people.
Well, yeah, they do talk about that the name for the town
Midian.
is part of, is where Moses spent all of his time.
That's where he saw the
before
burning
he
bush.
saw the burning bush. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there you go. But anyway, so there's a funny part where the guys are working on him. They're folksy.
You think the monsters are like, isn't it ironic we called it Midian? Like, and then it plays out almost exactly like that. Isn't that funny?
Let
but yeah,
my
so-
Nightbreed go.
Oh,
The coroners leave him, and then they come back and they're like, "Where is he?" And then they just cut to a broken window.
Yeah.
It's a super close in shot too. So I was like, they couldn't have done a wide.
There's a few edits in this movie where I kind of wonder, like, the history of this movie is they found all this extra footage after the fact and restored it, Shout Factory. But Justin, you were talking about how you saw a cut.
okay. So it's very complicated in its history. Is
Yeah.
that like a work print made it out and then fans edited together a new version? That was called the Cabal cut. Independently of that, or based on the success of this, Shout Factory found the elements and redid their own version, which was just called the director's cut.
Which was supervised by Clive Barker.
Yes. And so the Cabal cut was like pushed away. And because the Cabal cut were just fans that had done it based on the screenplay
Right.
and had re-edited it. And supposedly, well, no, actually not supposedly, because I have it, there is also a 3 hour and 20-minute version of this movie.
Oh my God.
With just
Called the
everything.
Ultimate Cabal cut. I mean, it's not the way it was meant to be seen.
Right.
I kind of like flip through it. It's just like everything is included,
Right,
essentially.
right.
As
Like
if all the
everything.
deleted scenes were just
Yeah.
in the movie.
Yeah.
And like shots run like a little too long. Like this is the thing when people are like, the original version was 4 hours. It's like, yeah, that's called a work print. That's when the editor puts everything together.
Yeah, and
and
like-
then you start to whittle it down.
It's
Yeah,
an
no,
assembly.
no movie is meant to be seen
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
what that's what an assembly is.
Yeah.
You assemble every shot that is supposed to be in it, and then you go in and trim it. That's editing.
And then you're like, okay, let's start working on the movie.
yeah.
But that's the first thing you do. It has no
But
form.
fans are like, I want to see the uncut version.
No,
It's like,
no.
you
No,
want
you
all of the
don't.
Nightbreed? Have it until you can't take it anymore.
more.
As
Their heads explode. Oh, too much.
yeah. Ugh. I think I got
I checked
plenty.
though in like stuff that like, oh, is it going to be added? Like, do you see a scene where they tell him the laws? Nope, that's not included. So
No, but there are a
there's
couple
still
of
some weird omissions.
Yeah, there's some weird moments like this where you kind of they just do it off screen where you hear the shattering and then you see the cut where you're kind of wondering
Yeah,
was
it's
something shot that they couldn't find that was supposed to kind of there's a kind of
not,
like a
yeah.
couple of awkward cuts where I'm thinking it feels like something was missing right there, but whatever.
That was a weird cut for sure. Like
That was more funny because
he defenestrated himself.
Oh, April's been like looked up that word,
Yeah.
was ready to use it.
I've been wanting to say that word for a whole year. Yeah, so then we're kind of with Lori for a while, right?
yeah, we go on a Lori road trip. This is really funny. She kind of becomes the main character of the movie at this point.
This movie
really.
has a lot of main characters, doesn't it?
It does.
It's
We
like
s-
Cronenberg, we got her. Boone kind of takes a back seat, but he's like the main guy at the beginning.
Yeah, it almost feels like it's like a kind of three-way, like kind of main
Yeah.
character divide. It's very funny, but yeah, she goes on a road trip to find Midian. Ends up at this redneck bar, which is, oh my god, it's like the redneckiest of rednecks.
It seems very backcountry.
Yeah.
And then we
yeah,
and she meets
all
a gal
of us,
pal there.
highfalutin Toronto folk looking
true.
down our,
Yes.
monocles at this, well-bred Edmonton stock.
Yeah, the
Calgary
funny
stock.
thing is, it's like I like to go to like quote unquote dive bars, but the dive bars here, they're not like real dive bars.
yeah, the music they play is like da 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 da
It's like faux dive.
Yeah. I wanted faux dive.
There's tons
not
of dive
real
bars
dive.
in Toronto. Come on.
I know, you're right.
Yeah,
But I like
we would
this,
not go to them, too.
I really like this woman that she meets. I meant to
Cheryl
look that
Ann.
actress up if she's in anything.
You know, I looked her up. Her character's name is Cheryl Ann, but she's really fun. But I looked her up. She hasn't done a whole lot. There's like a few other things. She doesn't even have like a photo on her
What?
IMDb. Yeah.
She felt so seasoned. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Anyway, she's great, and she gives some nice advice to our lead lady.
Yeah, she meets her in the bathroom, like she's crying. It's like,
And
oh.
this is very true to female relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We do make friends in the bathroom. It's not a stereotype. It's true.
Like pooping?
No, just
when you guys
at
are on the can and-
Like no, come on.
Okay.
Just like when we're at the mirror, like
Oh.
in this movie.
Us dudes, no eye contact. Look in the opposite direction.
Except when we're pooping, we have the stall doors open the entire time. We're craning our necks
there's
out.
no doors on the stalls.
Yeah.
They're actually, it's weird. In men's bathrooms, they make the toilets facing each other so you can do like a stare down.
Like forcing you to look at
Yeah, it's just like a big circle that all just like faces inward.
No, what does happen is you'll hear like two girlfriends talking like at the mirror, and then you're in the stall, and then you're hearing everything, and then you come out and say, "Girl, you better leave his ass," or whatever. Like
You
that
have
kind of
never
stuff.
said that in your life.
I have met, maybe not that,
It's
but
funny.
I have met people in bathrooms.
When April
That's all
just
I'm
said that,
saying.
she put her hands on her hips and was like shaking her head. Girl, you better leave him.
While me and Colin are just locked in deadly combat. We're like, "Oh!"
But yeah, so that's basically what this lady says. Like, oh, men, if they're not, if they're going after you, they're never gonna forget you, and you can't get rid of him, and stuff like that. And she's like, well, he's dead.
So they bond, and she offers to like go with her on a road trip in the morning. Like, yeah, we'll go visit this place, Midian, blah blah blah. And Lori goes off to the bathroom, and then Cheryl gets a drink, which has an umbrella in
An
it.
umbrella drink.
I don't think they serve umbrella drinks in this bar.
I think you're right. But
Lori walked up to the bar and went draft. Is that how you just order drinks? Like no
No, but-
specificity.
you would if they only have one beer,
One
which I'm
on
sure
draft, yeah.
lots of bars, especially in the early 90s, did only have one
It's
beer.
it's a movie thing. They can't say
Yeah.
like the
It's
brand
true.
name,
There
so they
are-
just say beer.
Yeah.
What is the Edmonton beer? I'm gonna look it up.
Kokanee? Maybe it's Kokanee. That's from the prairies.
Back then, I don't know.
Yeah, Kokanee, great beer, but if you're not in Canada, you can't get it.
No, it's Calgary though, so it'd be like, give me
I'd
an
like
oil
a
derrick.
blind man New England style pale ale, please.
As they like cut to you in an alley getting the shit beaten out of you by
Yeah.
like 7 guys wearing like plaid.
It's like in It's a Wonderful Life, where he's like, I'll take a sherry. And they're like, we only serve whiskey here.
Get out of here.
Yeah, when she went draft, the bartender knew what she meant. Molson Canadian. There's nothing else.
I remember my friend and I, when we were like young, I think we were still in high school or something, or had just gotten out of high school. We're just learning how to order at bars. And then we went to a bar. And my friend says, I'll have a beer. And she goes, what kind? And he goes, small.
Like it's a soda. I'll have a small beer, please. And they'd be like, let me see your ID.
Get out, you two.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Just cut to us in the alley getting the shit beaten out of us.
The same thing used to happen to me when I used to be a smoker, and you would order say, can I get a pack of this? And they go, king size or regular? I don't know what that means.
You just run away.
Well, one of them is bigger, April.
I guess
Isn't
so,
that what
yeah.
a king size is?
It is, yes.
Kings. They smoke like kings, those two.
So anyway, they go on a road trip, and they get to the Midian.
Midian during the daytime. So
Yeah, which
this
is
this is a
nicer.
lot of matte paintings going on here.
Yeah.
With Lori, she just like leaves Cheryl Ann at the car. Cheryl Ann hooked up with the dude the night before, and
I wonder who that dude could be.
Was that him?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I was just about to ask, how does she know David Cronenberg?
So
'Cause she
Lo-
slept with him.
Yeah, Lori goes to the bathroom, and then a drink shows up from the bartender, and he
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, it's from that
Yeah,
gentleman
but
over there."
they pan to like some fat guy.
I watched it again this morning to take these notes. It's very poorly composed, the shot. But if you look over to the right, you just see a kind of like, I don't know, like a booth, and you just see
Yeah.
someone's hand sitting there holding a drink.
So the fat guy was next to him. I
You're-
was looking at someone
No,
else.
not even close. He's on the other side of the screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess my yeah. Okay, so that makes sense.
It took me multiple like viewings.
Because
to,
I
like,
thought
get
that
this.
was like something got cut out of the movie.
Yeah, and then she goes,
Is David
"Oh."
Cronenberg a passionate lover? That's a question I was asking myself.
I think he's probably got a lot of kinks. He's some weirdo stuff.
He's into knives. We know that.
Yeah, he's putting on the mask and stuff when he's like. Ugh.
Well, she seemed to be into it. Not that her
Yeah,
standards are that high, but
How dare you, April? Just because she's a well-stocked Calgary, Edmonton woman.
Exactly.
David Cronenberg show. He's wearing a suit and he's got this.
Which okay, so that adds an even creepier thing. So he'd been following Laurie this whole time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he shows up when, Cheryl Ann's on her own, like listening to music, and then Cronenberg shows up and she's like, "Hey, you showed up." Ugh, she's not long for this world.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Laurie is meeting the Nightbreeds. And,
Well, she sees a little monster thing on the ground. It's like,
So that kind of reminded me of something you'd see in a Cronenberg movie.
But
Yeah.
it's so cute though.
It looked like Gollum.
Cronenberg, according to IMDb trivia, was writing Naked Lunch while he was making this movie, and that's a real Naked Lunch creature.
Yeah. So there you go. He got inspired.
Yeah, so it's like it's kind of lying in the sun, kind of crying out. It looks like a little kitten or something. I don't know. It's like, whatever. But she rescues it and meets this sort of like Rachel. She's like a kind of gypsy lady that can change into smoke.
Romani.
Romani, sorry,
Yeah.
traveler.
She can change into smoke. Is that her thing?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's revealed
you
later.
didn't notice that, April? It plays many times in the movie.
Well,
No, but
they
there was
save
a
it.
lot of things.
They save
April
it to
had
the
a
end.
lot of emails to go through
I know.
watching Nightbreed.
They save it till the end, like 20, 30 minutes.
Yes.
When everybody starts using their powers. But she saves the child. She brings it into the crypt where everyone's waiting, and then it like changes back into like what's its name? Babette.
Babette.
Yeah.
Old ginger child, red hair.
Who just looks normal. Both of these people, no mutilations as we can see.
Right.
And she basically gives her a history of the Nightbreed and how, I can't get into it, but just
Yeah.
There's too much lore to talk about.
Yeah, we're introduced to Doug Bradley. He's kind of like the leader of the Nightbreed in like a previous scene where they kind of initiate Craig Sheffer into the fold. He gets like, I don't know, it's like this ritual they have, like the blood of Baphomet. He's like their...
So in the director's cut, Doug Bradley has his own voice, but in the theatrical cut, he was dubbed by like a German guy.
Yeah, so this is the thing. And then he redubbed the voice. So the voice that
Yes.
we hear here is Doug Bradley, but it's like from 2014 Doug Bradley.
You don't even notice.
No,
he's-
it felt like it was from the original.
Yeah, I had no idea that it was dubbed. So
I knew it was Doug Bradley though, because I recognize the voice. Because it's like I don't even really know what he looks like. He's always got all this stuff.
He's
on
not
his face.
laying on like the Hellraiser voice.
Not quite so much.
Oh
but
wait,
yeah.
sorry, that's Clive Barker voice.
Well, Pinhead has a booming voice. He's like, you can never trick the Cenobites.
Yeah.
Unless, we've been tricked every now and then.
This is
I'm going to say it again, as I've said many a times. Pinhead is the lamest of all famous
Yes.
slasher villains.
This is a very Clive Barker thing. You got the Cenobites, you got the Nightbreeds. He's into creepy found families.
Yeah.
You can never trick the Cenobites
That's
unless
what
under...
the Cenobite is. Is that the theme of the Cenobites? It's all about family.
It sure is.
Yeah, they have that barbecue at the end when they're drinking Corona and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Only they pour it like into their throat holes.
Oh, you're not supposed to put liquid there. That's where the you-know-what goes.
Then Butterball just like throws the whole bottle into his mouth.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
disgusted today to discover that Butterball was a skinny guy under makeup.
Oh my
How dare
god.
they?
Taking jobs away from people in
From
Hollywood.
the large man who could have just, put the teeth in, thrown the glasses on, but ta-da, Butterball.
What would you call that? Like chub face or something?
I'm sure there's a term for it. In the early 2000s where like comedies were obsessed with that, like
Oh yeah. big
put
time.
him in a big suit like
Look at
Austin Powers and Shallow Hal and the Nutty Professor.
Oh, Nutty Professor. Yeah, look at those clumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called clumping. Clump suit.
That's what they should call it. Clump face.
Clump face.
So yeah, in the sort of like ritual scene, we're introduced to like a bunch of them. We have the porcupine lady. We see her. It's that weirdo with the dog. Very cute dog, by the way.
Oh yeah, I kept expecting the dog to be like, "Rawr," and have like a
I was
monster
expecting
face.
him to be a Nightbreed or something, but it's not.
Nah, he's just a little pug.
Yeah, it's just
Or is
this-
he a pug? What is he?
he looks like a Boston Terrier.
That's what he is, Boston Terrier.
He's really, really cute. But that guy really doesn't do anything. The guy
No.
he's with, he's
well,
like,
he explodes
yeah,
later on.
This is true. So
Well, that's the guy who plays Butterball in the Hellraiser movies.
no.
Yes.
Really?
That's yeah. That's the same actor.
no shit.
So basically, Clive Barker was like, "All right, you were Butterball in Nightbreed. You could be someone who literally has no makeup on them. He's basically a nude dude.
He just has some like
What's
some,
your Nightbreed power? I'm naked and I carry a dog around."
yeah, he's got pierced nipples and some
Yeah.
tattoos, but you know, who's to say the actor didn't have that?
And the dog is not a Nightbreed, seemingly.
No, and I love the fact that Doug Bradley's character, he's got these like slits on his cheeks that are later revealed to be like eyes. His character's name is just Lylesburg.
Lylesburg?
Lylesburg.
It sounds like a cheese.
Yeah, it does. Not this Nightbreed with like, 8 eyes or whatever.
So what should have his name been like? Iculus or something.
Yeah, or something. I'm like, come on.
What's a word for like 8 clops? Why do they call you 8 clops? You'll find out by the end of the movie.
Octoclops.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, and then you have the Romani lady. Her name is just like Rachel.
Yeah.
Just like
Well, that's classic. On Podcast of Ride, they found like the term for it where it happens in Hellraiser, where it's like, meet my friends, Pinhead, Butterball, Chatterer, and female Cenobite.
That's true. We get shafted yet again. I don't even have a name.
I don't know. Rachel is better than Lylesburg.
I mean, they're both pretty normal.
Lylesburg is like the friend you make in boarding school who gets beat up all the time.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, Lylesburg. Lylesburg,
what are you
you
doing?
idiot.
But like, this is the scene where what's her name, Linda? She's like running through
Lori.
and it's like ah. She's scared by all of them because they're all so gross looking.
Oh yeah, because so basically, Laurie gets chased by David Cronenberg in the cemetery. He reveals himself to be the slasher, and the Nightbreed are like, Taboon, you can't go out there to save her. And he's like, I'm going out. And then he
Yeah.
saves her, brings her in, and then we get, as April was describing, that great scene where the character walks into like the monster place and is like, look at all these monsters.
It's
Whoa!
crazy. The set, I have to say, looks exactly like where Scorpion and Johnny Cage fought in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I swear it's the same set.
They
It's like
probably took inspiration.
these big bridges and like cobwebs and ropes and stuff like that.
I always think of this movie because it has a very similar plot to the Howie Mandel, Fred Savage classic, Little Monsters.
I'll
yeah.
have to watch that.
Isn't the
And they
poster?
kind of look like Nightbreeds too. And that movie came out a year before this one.
I remember the poster being very similar, wasn't it? Like Fred
No.
Savage kind of standing
But
there.
yeah, and then like Howie Mandel.
Yeah, he's wearing like a jacket. Oh yeah, because Howie Mandel has like a jean jacket in the movie, and they're like back to back. That's the poster for Little Monsters.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of like the jacket, I just have one point I want to make about Craig Sheffer's character Boone. He has like a fashionable mullet, and he has a leather jacket, tight jeans, and like a white T-shirt. Is he
Oh,
like?
but what would make that better?
What?
No shirt
Yeah.
like he wears in the movie.
At one point, there's no shirt, but then later the shirt's back. So I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to say, does he look too cool? Because I feel like this character would have been better if he was just a little more of like an everyman, and instead he just looks too like stereotypical 80s action, either star or
Hunk
just
or whatever.
Yeah, like that felt
so like a Howie
studio.
Mandel, if you will.
It felt like a studio note, like, well, we got to get a hot guy in here as the
Yeah.
main character.
And even when he changes into his Nightbreed form, he's still just him. He just has these kind of like
he looks hot.
carvings on his
Yeah,
face.
that's the thing, is that when they change into their Nightbreed form, they don't like really turn into other monsters. They just turn into monsters with tattoos.
Yeah, even the guy with dreads kind of changes slightly. He just becomes
Yeah.
a little scarier. Nobody else really does, but Craig Sheffer, yeah, he just like, I guess the studio note is like, you still got to be hot for the ladies.
Well, I haven't read the book, so I don't know but I imagine that this story could have related to more people if he was just this, your typical like maybe like anime protagonist. He was just like a regular guy, and then he was having these
like,
crazy dreams. You know?
A 90s everyman, an Arnold Schwarzenegger, Total Recall.
God, can you
Or a
imagine?
Howie Mandel, if you will.
Yeah, let's get posts of those.
But Boone chases off David Cronenberg, or Cronenberg escapes, and then he comes back. Laurie's like passed out on the ground, and then his buddy there without the face, Narcisse, is like, she's not gonna look like the way you look. So he like changes back, and he changes back by like sucking in this green fart gas.
It's like you gotta smell your fart.
he
Able
like
to-
he barely changes back. Like he kind of looks the same.
And then they leave, right? And then they go to this like shitty hotel.
I love when she's walking around kind of exploring Midian underground. You get
Yeah.
a chance to see all these things. I can't remember who did all the makeup effects, but there's a lot.
Oh, so
I will
much.
pick my favorite thing, which is like 2 seconds of a jaguar riding a lizard man done in stop motion.
Stop motion. That's amazing.
What was that?
It's just a little clip. There's a couple stop motion creatures in here that are
Yeah,
really,
so
really
the little
good.
featurette of this on the Blu-ray is that they had like 60 stop motion shots they wanted to do, and the budget got cut during shooting, so there's like 3 in the movie at the end of the day.
Yeah, that one's really cool. The society guy looks really cool. The guy with the head in his belly.
Yeah, where the things come out.
Yeah, there's like what else?
There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah, there's that
Yeah.
guy with like snakes coming out of his belly.
Yeah.
Fuck. And then so Laura. And
There's just like a black demon man.
Yeah,
He's
which is
just,
really weird.
Yeah, which I was getting a real like Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibe from these
Yes.
creatures.
Yeah,
And like I said, my favorite, just a pile of guts. It's like, just guts.
Yeah.
at one point Laurie's kind of tricked. She thinks she sees Boone and follows him, but it's actually like this guy with like a cat face, which is so funny. He has these
like
big
a
buggy
weird
eyes.
face.
Oh, I love that. That did they dress up the cat man to look like Boone, and they do this all the time?
Scare people. Yeah.
Is this just how he usually dresses?
Yeah.
Where she's like, Boone. It would have been great if she had done it like 3 times. She was
Yeah.
like, oh, cat guy. Oh, guy whose face is just a giant dick. Oh, I don't know, someone who it's a butt face. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
And the butt farts.
I mean, the whole like her thing is like I'm not going to leave you. I can't leave you.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cronenberg like is after her, so that's kind of why he leaves, because he wants to protect her and stop David Cronenberg. Right.
But the thing is, she can take care of herself through this whole movie. She says it at the end. She's like, I've been through hell to like get you back. And she literally has. She's
Yeah,
done so much to like get him back. And he doesn't seem to appreciate it at the end either.
Not really, because he likes his new friends now.
Yeah.
He wants to be with them, and
I guess.
he doesn't want to be a natural.
Here-
Okay, so
here-
hotel.
Just kind of like a scene in between this with like a gas station, old man, and Cronenberg. But it's like whatever.
It's just more of Cronenberg interrogating Nightbreed.
well, that was
Nightbreed
added in
fans.
post. That was like, we need Cronenberg being creepy some more.
Yeah,
So,
they feel very kind
he's
of
like,
tacked on, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
He,
yep.
he calls
you don't need it.
Yeah, he calls the sheriff out to Sheerneck or wherever the hell they are, to Midian.
But what started to bug me about halfway through the movie is Cronenberg is just killing people left and right, and I'm like, how has no one caught him? And
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we
that's
skipped the
stuff
scene where
they
he like
added.
kills a like a motel attendant and just like leaves
Yeah.
a head on a desk.
It's so
She's like,
bizarre. It's like, yeah,
Well,
it's-
that's another scene that was added. I don't think that, because that stuff wasn't in the movie before. So
yeah, I don't
he
remember
wasn't
any of that
carving up.
stuff. Yeah, it's like this lady with like a big cream puff that she drops on the ground. It goes on for so long.
Oh my God,
She's picking it up
yeah.
piece by piece.
Yeah, that was gross.
You think she's gonna eat that cream puff?
Ugh. I was waiting for
That
her
was
to.
like a passion flaky.
Yeah. So Cronenberg kills everybody back at the hotel that, or the inn that Laurie is staying at.
Yeah, and I love that they notice that the cops are coming, and Laurie books it. She's like, "I got it. I need to leave." So
Yeah.
because Boone is in the bathroom, and she knows that they're going to blame it on him, and so she just leaves, which is good.
Yeah.
That was the right thing to do.
He changes back. He sucks in a big
He
fart.
sucks in his fart cloud.
Yeah.
He changes back to human. He's arrested, and we meet the was it the crazy sheriff character?
Yeah,
I forget the character's or the actor's name, but he was in Hill Street Blues.
it's kind of like the guy from Killer Clowns.
This is the most. Oh yeah, Charles Hayde. He is like the angriest fucking cop you've ever seen.
He's horribly racist. He's homophobic. So we go to the jail and we're introduced to yet another character, the priest. It's way too late to be introducing this character.
This is the third act, and it's
Yeah.
like the priest is not even introduced.
This priest only exists to be like, you guys can't wait for Nightbreed 2, right?
Oh
I
my
know,
God.
which is I was like,
Well,
such a
it
strange
ain't coming, so.
Yeah. First of all, why would they think that anyone would make a second one of these movies? And also,
Hey, they made a Hellraiser 2. They like rushed a Hellraiser 2 out, so maybe that
Well-
was their logic.
I just don't think this lends itself to a franchise.
It could.
I think it lands. Yeah,
Sure.
you get new Hellbreed or Nightbreeds every time.
Yeah,
They're
you
like,
got-
hey, it's me, Edward Penis.
Look at the.
You'd think that the penises on my hands would just be floppy dicks because it would be funny. You'd be wrong. They are rock hard dildos.
Oh my god.
Don't look it
what's
up,
your
ladies and
name,
gentlemen.
Chester?
Don't look it up. I thought you'd be like penis hands. Nah, it's Chester.
Chester.
Anyway, so what's the deal with this priest? Because he's in jail. Did he murder someone?
He's just a drunk. He's
That's
like
it?
He's like the town drunk, apparently.
I see.
And they bring him along because they're like, we're going to get a priest because they must be afraid of priests.
I
Well,
guess.
before that, there's a very funny press conference at the police
Yeah,
station.
but this priest is freaking out, or the sheriff is, because they realize that Boone is like the guy who was shot dead. So he's freaking out at Cronenberg, like, what the hell's going on?
And we went, there's a scene where they go to the cemetery, all the cops during the day.
Captain
and they take
Panaka.
take out naked dog guy into the sun, and then he explodes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, poor
that's such
guy.
a mean scene. It's
and
so
like
brutal.
that's I think the beginning of the turn this movie takes in
Holy
the
shit.
Nightbreed are good and the humans are bad, and they're just not bad. They're evil.
They're comically cruel and
yes,
awful
it's very over the top.
and insane. Yeah. So at this point, after Cronenberg explains this thing to everybody, the sheriff and his gang of cops, like, they launch a full-scale assault, and they get like everyone in the town
Yeah,
as well.
so I was they made it look like there was a music festival happening. Maybe it was the Calgary Stampede, and they just say, "Hey, monsters," and they're like, "Yeah, let's go!" And they all have shotguns.
Yeah, it's like they're handing out machine guns to all these crazy people
Yeah.
wearing
Like some of the deputies are like licking the like metal
the trip
garrote
wire,
or garrette.
the garrote wire that
Yeah.
you choke people with. They're
oh,
like,
it is like just
they're
so
as
comical.
fucked up as the Nightbreed.
Yeah, it's just so over the top, and everyone is wasted. And they're all outside shooting like M16s into the air like willy nilly. It's like,
Yeah.
this is Canada, man. This stuff don't happen.
Yeah, so they launch an
Well,
assault.
it happens in Edmonton.
Yeah,
Colin.
it might,
happens
yeah.
in
It's so
Edmonton.
funny. There was like a shot. You see this convoy like going towards Midian. It's all these trucks and stuff, and they're weaving, bobbing, because they're all drunk. And
Yeah.
April's like, "Oh no, it's the Freedom Convoy."
For those of you who don't know what that is, maybe look it up.
Yeah.
You probably know.
It was like a whole convoy of trucker,
Truckers.
anti-vaxxer,
Bad truckers.
whatever.
There are good truckers out there too.
Oh yeah, of course. They were working while these people were
Anyway,
holed up in Ottawa.
so the Nightbreed thing kind of turns into like a Home Alone, like we have to defend our house.
This is
type thing.
it's hard to overstate though, like how insane this last 30 minutes is. Like once they get to Midian, it's just like insanity. It's like the
And just imagine it all scored to Danny Elfman's like
Yeah, and like the Nightbreeds, they're like, we can't do anything. Like, we literally can't do anything. And Boone's like, come on, guys, you gotta fight back. It's very cheesy.
Yeah.
But like, they're going to. And then their home is like crumbling, and it's just like, because they're bombing it.
yeah, they have like C4. They're blowing up this cemetery.
They
but
have a rocket launcher at one point.
they have a flamethrower.
flamethrower.
They're loving it. Yeah.
bazooka. So imagine all these redneck cops with like flamethrower, like something out of World War II that you'd see.
Is this your favorite thing, Colin?
The last 30 minutes is by far my favorite thing. It just goes so off the rails, and you're just like, oh my God.
I know, it's like I'm watching this like
But not in a bad
movie
way.
called Nightbreed. I didn't expect like an action extravaganza, and
There-
you get it.
It's an extravaganza. There are so many explosions, flames, squibs, everybody shooting one another. And then, Boone kind of rallies all the Nightbreeds, and then they start, actually using their powers.
Yeah, their powers of like stalks come out of their stomach and rips someone's eyes out.
Porcupine Lady uses her quills.
She's like,
And her sexual allures.
Yeah, they had to get some boobs in this. Earlier, the Rachel character also shows her boobs.
yeah, they jailbreak Boone, and she turns
Yeah.
in. She can turn into smoke.
Okay.
But then at one point, she like this redneck is going to kill Lori and Babette, and then you just see him like his face, and he starts like spitting up blood. So it's like implied that she,
Oh, she punches through him. You see her fist through his stomach and then she pulls it out.
I guess she can like go through solid material when she turns into smoke, but you see smoke coming out of his chest. So
Oh, that's what happened.
she turns her fist into smoke, and then it rematerializes like inside of him, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
Cool.
it's like more of this shit. And then they release the berserkers, which are these creatures.
As if you didn't have enough creatures.
Now it's like, you thought this was insane. So
which we were introduced to earlier.
they were like these creatures that are kind of holed up and chained in this prison.
They're just monsters. I can't even.
that are uncontrollable. Like
Yeah.
even the Nightbreed can't control them. So they just release them, and fucking hell, like all hell just breaks
Yeah,
loose.
and I will say earlier in the movie, it's established that some night breeds can be killed by bullets. Some have to be put in the sun. They're all different. So Doug Bradley's character gets shot to death by one of the rednecks down there, and he was like the leader. So this kind of puts Boone in the leader position, and Boone is saying like, this is right before they release the
Release the
Krakens.
release the berserkers.
Yeah, and there's also this like statue that he's praying to.
So yeah, this is Baphomet. It's like their
Baphomet.
yeah, it's like their I guess god who created Midian. Yeah, and he kind of like tells Boone like, you're the savior now. You have to fight and find them a new place to live after Midian is destroyed.
and like
blah, blah, blah.
meanwhile, this
He actually says, or they find me. I will be going somewhere.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah, he says, "Find me and heal me," because I love the design of Baphomet as well. Like,
yeah.
I'm really impressed by the sets in this movie and like the production
Well, like
design. at some points.
set design. Doesn't he say like this was our home, but I guess we have to leave our home.
Yeah.
Sometimes homes need to be left. Like,
Yeah.
So it's like not a big deal. Like go find them another home.
Well,
Boone.
it's, you also see that it's been prophesized because like there's this
Yeah.
whole section with like the wall paintings where we
Where
see
you see
Boone is
him.
bitten.
But
and
anyway,
blah, blah, blah.
during this scene, the priest comes down and he's like, I have to see this God, like, you know, that they are praying to, because I have to figure out like what God is. So he sees this like bowl of
All
acid.
the other characters should be like, who are you?
Yeah.
What's
he sees
going
this
on?
bowl of acid and he reaches out and touches it and it flies into his face because he like pushed the bowl up.
it's the blood of Baphomet.
Yeah, it's like rounded, so it like splashes him into the face.
Yeah.
He loses all the skin or hair on his head, and by an hour or so later, he looks like a Nightbreed. And at the end of the movie, he's like, "I'm gonna get revenge on them." Dude, they didn't do anything. You went down there and you touched some acid and got burned. Like, it makes no sense.
He's just a clumsy oaf.
Yeah, he's a Jerry Lewis type.
It's
Who's
like-
His inclusion in this movie was baffling.
Yeah, it's like a kid.
Baphomet.
It's like a oh god. It's like a kid reaching up, onto the countertop and spilling like boiling water on their face or something and
Yeah.
going, "I'm gonna get you, mother."
Yeah.
It's the last thing I do.
Anyway, let's forget about his character.
But this whole scene, we've got Porcupine Lady, we got the Berserkers, we've got Flamethrower guy, who the Berserkers like set on fire and he fucking blows
he
up.
explodes.
we've got a rocket launcher hillbilly who like shoots a rocket at the Berserkers. They duck out of the way and it blows up the policeman and like his friends in the car and stuff. And then we get Boone and Cronenberg are squaring off. Cronenberg, how is he holding his own against Boone? And
Yeah,
Well,
they
not
have a-
very well. He gets taken down real
But
fast.
they have like a fist fight though, like in the Scorpion area.
he was fighting him earlier, and it's shown that he like cut Narcisse's head off. So he's defeating these people left and right.
I thought it was gonna be that he was a secret Nightbreed, like there's a movie, there's probably a million movies like that where like he hates his own people and he wants to be, the only one.
Yeah, like I Frankenstein, right? That's the plot.
Sure.
Of that movie.
No, I don't think so. Well, I don't know. I don't remember.
Did we do that for the show?
Yes.
Or, oh my
we did.
god, that movie is so
Can't even
bad.
remember.
Oh, speak for yourself.
Oh yeah, you're a big eye Frankenstein head.
No, maybe I'm thinking of like The Last Witch Hunter or something, where one of them was a witch that wants to kill
isn't it
witches.
Elijah Wood
yeah,
or
yeah,
something
I
like
think
that?
maybe
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, again, this is a trope that's been. Anyway, that's not what's in this movie. He just is evil. He's
Yeah.
just a regular guy.
Well, he flat out explains it all to this old man that he killed earlier. That you
Yeah.
know, he's like, I'm not one of them. I'm just like a hunter. I was born to kill like these
Yeah.
people and all the families that are, you know, whatever. But yeah, so Cronenberg, he's kind of taken down. I love the crunch when he's thrown off and he lands like on the ground.
yeah.
It's really good.
So
Very
he's
satisfying.
finally because he's so evil. It's nice to see him get his demise.
Yeah, and then Baphomet, you know, says to Craig Sheffer, he's like, he rebrands him. Your name is now Cabal,
Yes.
which was the name of the novella, I guess, that this was based on.
All this was just in a novella.
Yeah, I know. How could they write all the explosions in that few pages?
They added all that Cronenberg stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah, the whole fucking Midian goes up
the
in a
movie's
gigantic explosion.
almost over. Linda.
Lori.
Is like, there's this beautiful shot where she's like on a hill and they're like silhouetted and she's like, but I love you. I don't want you to leave me. And he's like, I'm sorry. I have to be with my people.
Yeah, he just ditches her after everything she did.
Yeah. But I, mean,
I was trying to break up with you earlier. I didn't know how to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and just
This is a better excuse.
I was
right?
going to tell you at your concert, but I was high on LSD.
yeah, and just like at the end of Twilight, she's like, I want you to make me a vampire. Nightbreed. So she stabs herself right in the stomach.
And then
so
she's
he's
like,
"Now
you
have to."
better save me. So she,
She totally manipulated him into doing that.
whatever.
Oh, what if she just turned into a pile of guts though, and that's like her nightbreed form?
Can't fuck that.
She's just like a big ass with like a head sticking out of it.
You never
She's
know.
like a society monster.
Yeah.
And Boone's like, ugh.
And like that's the end, right? I mean, we get that final scene in the graveyard with one of the rednecks survived.
Oh, the captain.
Somehow. Oh yeah,
He's
the
all, like,
captain.
burnt
Yeah, it's
up
the
and-
sheriff guy, and he wants to
Survived somehow.
he wants to join the priest on his like revenge quest, and then the priest just kills him and walks off. But we do get a kind of ending with the Nightbreeds are all in like this sort of barn house or
barn,
something that
yeah.
they're hiding in, and they're all ready to move on to their next.
Where are they
home.
gonna go though? Because a lot of them they can't be out during the day.
They can
Gotta-
move during the night.
Yeah.
Only Clive Barker knows.
There's another like post-credit stinger that's not in this version, where the priest finds David Cronenberg's body on a tree, and then David Cronenberg comes back to life.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think that might have been in the
Was
theatrical.
that in the theatrical version?
It
I
might
thought
have been. I
was.
can't remember. And we didn't really, I don't know, after credits stingers weren't really a thing back then.
Yeah.
So, and we were kind of bored with the movie at that point. We would have just shut it off.
And put it back in the rewinder. You don't want to be charging any extra fees when
I
you bring
know,
it back.
God, it took 30 minutes. Like,
Right. So that's it, right?
remember they had those machines you could buy that
I
just,
had one.
Did
It
you
was
really?
literally just for rewinding. My dad had one.
What the heck?
You could wear down your VCR from doing too much rewinding.
Oh, like the Motorheads. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Anyway, that's Nightbreed.
Yeah, that's Nightbreed. Much
Yeah,
better.
we're all night breeds now.
That's Nightbreed. No, you know what? Talking about it, this was a really fun movie.
Did we all say our favorite things? I said the
I
last
did.
30 minutes.
The only one who didn't was April.
Earlier I was talking about Cronenberg's Mask, so
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
okay.
I'll go.
That's right.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, there's a lot to like in this movie, and I had a completely different reaction to it this time. A change of heart, if you will. I kind of like wrote it off. But yeah, as soon as I started like looking up the director's cut, I was like, okay, this could be pretty good. It's the way it was meant to be seen.
I definitely recommend it.
For sure, yeah. There's lots here.
The only thing I can say is it's going to be a bit much for lots of people.
I loved the excess at the end,
Yeah.
so that's what did it for me.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like, oh my god, like
It's crazy.
yeah,
So kudos to Clive Barker, and kudos
Yes.
to, and it ends with the kind of little note from Clive Barker to
Yes.
Mark Miller, I think was the guy.
it said thank you for making this possible.
Yeah, I think he hunted down the 4K or the film footage.
Not the Mark Miller, who's a badass of comics, who gave us Kick-Ass. That's a different Mark
That's
Miller.
Mark Millar.
That's right. Yeah, we don't like that guy.
Get those two confused.
Mark Millar. But he did The Boys, didn't he, Mark Millar?
Yes, he did.
Well,
he
he's-
wrote. No. Oh man, people are gonna yell at me. That's Garth Ennis. did The
Oh,
Boys.
shit, yeah, right.
I mean, Mark Millar is just like a pale imitation of Garth Ennis anyway.
Right.
So
One of them is Scottish. I think it's Mark Millar. I don't know.
Yes.
So, Justin, would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, of course. Nightbreed is fun.
Do you have it
Lots
on
of
Blu-ray?
monsters. Yeah, I definitely. You know what? I don't know if I do, because Shout Factory released a 3-disc special edition of this at a time where I'm like, I cannot afford this, and then they released like a normal edition, and I don't think I picked that one up.
Well, it's available everywhere pretty much. We watched it on Tubi,
It's on Tubi.
the director's cut, and it's also on iTunes.
Yeah.
Probably in a few other places too.
So it was a fun movie. Check it out.
Make sure you watch the director's cut. But
Yeah.
as I said, I couldn't find the theatrical anywhere, so I don't know if it's
available. Yeah,
available
it's probably
or
not.
whatever. I think the director's cut, thankfully, is the only one you can find. But yeah, it's really fun.
And that's it for this week. If you want to email the podcast, we're at no such thing as a bad movie at gmail.com. We're on Twitter at no such thing pod. And if you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/no such thing as a bad movie. If you subscribe at the $5 level, you get a bonus episode every 2 weeks. Next week, we're talking monsters, people.
Rob Zombie's
Rob
monsters.
Zombie's. How does the theme song for that go?
Dig through the monsters and
I knew you were gonna
blow.
do that. Dragula.
That's right. We're also
No, yeah, it obviously goes. Da, 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 da. Got the Austin Powers song. stuck in my head.
Down, 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 down.
That's
There you go.
it.
You got
Down,
it.
down,
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 down, down,
down,
down.
down.
And by the way, everyone, we're available on YouTube if you would like to subscribe to us on YouTube. We have a lot of people who prefer to listen to things that way, so check us out on there. You can find us. And I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at April Atmansky.
You can follow me on Twitter, DeClux, DECLOUX, the letter J, every week at the Important Cinema Club podcast, as well as the 24-hour horror movie Mind Melter that will be happening this October 29th. Is a Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just follow me at DeClux, DECLOUX, the letter J. It's a pinned tweet with more information.
If you're listening to this the day it comes out, I think it's tomorrow. So hopefully,
So hurry up.
check it out.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
And that's it for this week. We're going to be continuing on with some spooky content as it goes forward into November, because there's just way too many good bad horror movies that we have to watch.
We have to watch more of.
The next one may not be a bad one, April. Maybe a good one. We just happen to be doing for this podcast.
That's right. And whose opinion is that? You'll have to you'll have to tune in to find it. Could it be something we've teased for years now? Who knows?
That April is banned until
weird.
she can pick it herself.
No, we already did Chappie. That's weird.
Yeah. Well, so
I did pitch Chappie 2 Reloaded.
They should do like Chappie's Christmas or something.
a very chappy Christmas.
Yeah, they should do like just movies like the Ernest movies, like Chappie Goes to Camp, Chappie Goes to Prison.
Everyone-
And they just
hates
ignore
Chappie.
the previous film. Like Chappie has like a dog sidekick in this one.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the assets probably exist. Just do it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Is this dog like a robot, do you think?
No, he's just a normal dog. He looks like the dog in Ernest.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
kinda
It's like
stupid.
the same one.
All right, stay spooky, everyone. I'm April Atmansky.
I'm Justin Wee World the Clue.
Oh, I'm Colin Cenobite Cunningham.
And remember, there's no such thing as a bad spooky
Wait.
movie.
I'm Colin Clive Barker Cunningham.
Very good.
Oh!